Welcome to Courageous Living. I'm your host, Kiki Ramsey, and on this show, I aim to help you get courageous in everything that you do. Today's show, we're going to be talking about money, really about becoming financially savvy. Because with all the news and the media, you see how so many are struggling with debt, managing money, and saving. Well, today, we are going to be talking about all of those things. And once the show is over, you're going to know how to really manage your debt more so and be financially savvy. Right after this. Welcome back to Courageous Living. I'm your host, Kiki Ramsey, and I am here today. We're really going to be talking about financial savviness. How do you become financially savvy? And my guest today is the CFO of Zion Church. Woo!
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good.
That's
good.
my church, and you're also a realtor.
Yes.
So today you're really going to be telling us how to become financially savvy, which is something that we all want to know. There's so many things in the media as it pertains to money, debt, money management, saving, and hopefully we're going to be able to get to talk about most of those things today. But I wanted to first start off by asking you, how did you end up becoming financially savvy in the place that you are in your life right now?
Well, I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and we were in Brooklyn for about 10 years. Okay. And then when I was 10, we moved to Long Island. And although I was only 10, I guess I was a smart little girl, I saw the big difference in how people lived in Brooklyn, inner city, not much wealth. And then we go out to Long Island, people have boats, huge homes right off the beach. And I said to myself at 10 years old, why is that? Why is it that some people are living and are not as prosperous, and there doesn't seem to be as much abundance as where I am in Long Island? I had an idyllic childhood in Long Island, and I kind of vowed back then that I wanted to be on the side of abundance and wealth and prosperous living. And so in high school, I kind of decided I was going to major in business. I started reading money magazines when I was 17 years old.
When you were 17?
Yeah, it just was something that I was always curious about. And I don't know, maybe I'm just driven by money, you know, but it's something that I always gravitated to. And it's been a calling, you know, working for a church. I teach people, I teach courses on money principles and what you should be doing with your money and how to be a good steward with your money. And it's come naturally to me, and I just love doing it. And I really like teaching people about how they should be managing their money.
I love that, because it's so funny that you said at 17 or when you were 10, like you saw the difference between the way people lived. And it's interesting because when I was in high school, my high school was actually situated in a very predominantly wealthy neighborhood. And so as I was riding the bus every day, and I'm like, these houses are humongous. How do those people get those houses or that car? And so I kind of set out on a similar path in terms of just really wanting to learn about how do you build this financial wealth that you see other people have. And so, okay, so I love that. That took you to where? Like when you went to college and you majored in business, kind of what was your path in terms of accumulating where you are now?
Well, I majored in accounting, and I would say, as I said, at 17, I started reading a lot about money. And I think that's where it starts. You have to educate yourself, and you really need to know what you're doing. Managing money is not easy, but if you develop good habits, it can become almost where you don't have to think about it too much. So I always tell women, the first thing to do is to start reading. And it can be very intimidating. A lot of people don't want to read things like the Wall Street Journal, but you don't have, it doesn't have to be that sophisticated. You can start out with reading Money Magazine or read more magazine and read the articles about money, but you have to read and you have to develop good habits about just paying attention.
Right.
So many of us, when the bills come, we want to just stick them away, forget about them, bury our heads under the sand. But that is not how you develop wealth. You really have to be proactive with your money.
Yeah, I mean, I think it, you know, especially as women, it can get kind of intimidating, money, because either we want to talk about it because we have it, or we don't want to talk about it because we don't have it. And there is a lot of secrecy around having it or not having it. If you pick up like the paper, or if you read, you know, magazines or blogs, you'll see how, you know, in today's economy, a lot of women are struggling in terms of money. How would a woman who is struggling kind of get on her feet? What are some things that you think she could do? Because I, as a coach, I coach many women, and their number one thing for a lot of them is their financial status.
Two things. Number one, you have to start paying yourself first. When you get your paycheck, you have three things you can do with it. You can spend it, you can save it, or you can invest it.
Okay.
And I say, of course, you're going to have to spend to pay the bills, but you also have to put aside some money for savings, and then you have to invest. And what I mean invest, you have to invest in yourself. So many of us are too worried about what our kids are doing, what our mother and father is doing, supporting siblings or whatever it is, and we're not investing in ourselves. And we also are not digging deep inside and thinking about, what is my purpose here? What do I do really well that I can turn that around and make income from it? Because I really think if you do what you're passionate about, it comes through, it makes it so much easier, and it doesn't feel like drudgery, and it's so much easier to make money that way.
No, oh my God, I get too excited because I love it when you say, if you are doing what you love, if you have a passion. What I've seen so much is that we do what we must, or we do what we think we have to do in order to make money versus what we're passionate about doing. And I know a lot of women who don't necessarily know their passion, or they're scared to go for their passion. And how would you advise somebody to do that, like when it comes to that passion piece?
Again, it's setting a foundation. So in order to pursue your passion, most of the time it does take money. So you might have to start out saying, okay, 2 years from now, I'm going to launch this business. 2 years from now, I'm going to do a courageous event. And in those 2 years, you're going to be doing your research, and then you're going to be slowly putting money away, slowly putting in savings away, slowly investing in what you see as that dream or that purpose. It's not going to happen overnight, but again, it's about developing good habits, educating yourself, and then just slowly chugging away, adding to your savings, adding to your investment accounts. So when that right opportunity does come, you can seize the opportunity. And most times in this economy and in this world that we live in, you need money to seize the opportunities.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know that in our church, our pastor talks about jump money. And what that means is, in order to seize the opportunity, you got to have some kind of nest egg sitting aside, so that when the opportunity does come, like possibly starting a small business or something like that, or a new career that might be overseas or something, that you can actually do that. And
let me add that sometimes the lack of money doesn't allow you to be as creative as you really could be, because you're so busy worried about how you're going to pay the next bill, or how you might put food on the table or keep the lights on, that your energy is focused there, as opposed to ways you can be really creative in helping yourself or just helping make this world a better place. So freeing yourself from the slavery of debt and worried about when I'm going to be able to pay that bill, freeing yourself from that worry frees you up to be creative.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's what we were created for, to be creative. And you need to be debt-free in order to allow your brain to go there.
Okay, so if I were a woman and I were sitting, you know, here listening to us, and I'm in financial debt, and I don't make enough to pay my bills, because I used to be there at one point in my life, and I'm like, oh, you know, how do I save money, or how do I get out of debt, and when I don't even bring enough in, and how do we talk about purpose and me do what I love to do and be creative when I don't even bring enough money in? And so what would you say to me?
Yeah, it is hard. I would say the first thing to do is to really be on top of what are those professions right now that they are saying we're going to be the growing professions over the next 10 years. There are a lot of professions that are being marginalized because of technology. So if you're doing something that technology is going to make you obsolete within the next 5 to 10 years, you really need to start researching and figuring out, okay, what are those professions that I can maybe choose or switch to that are growing and are going to be in great demand. So you have to have your ears open, your eyes open, and be listening and be proactive about seeking those things out. So then once you figure out, okay, I found this door. Maybe I can get a part-time job and use that part-time income to create a savings cushion for myself, or use that part-time income to invest in a new business. But yet, again, you have to be creative, you have to be proactive, and it has to be a habit. But I think there are lots of ways that you can create income or extra income for yourself that then you use that to invest in yourself.
No, I love that, because I think that that's key in terms of really us being able to step outside of that, because a lot of women in particularly have that problem is they don't bring enough in. But I love when you said you have to start researching, and you need to be proactive versus reactive, because I think a lot of times we're very reactive, like, oh my God, oh, my job, I don't have a job, I got laid off. And if we were, you know, proactive and we actually researched these trends, and you see other people in your industry who are losing their jobs, you might want to say, it's time for me to really think about doing something else. And I don't think we do that enough. I don't think that we really look at our situation and say, okay, it's absolutely time for me to do something else.
Yeah, if you are on the internet, just like you can search the internet for anything else, you can Google what are the top trending jobs expected in the next decade. You'll see, you know, physical therapists, accountants, retirement planners. All those are jobs, areas where they're expecting explosive growth in the next 10 years. Do you have a skill for that? Is that something you like to do?
So what if a woman is scared to make a move like that?
Well, I am talking to the courageous woman. If you're watching this show, you know that courage, it is scary. To be courageous, but it is something that we have to do, and you know, we can't let fear hold us back.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
It's just about developing good habits. I will tell every woman, you can put $5 to $10 out of your paycheck aside each week.
Wow.
It's not gonna kill you.
Oh my God, hold that thought. Because when we come right back, we are going to dig deeper into how to become financially savvy right after this. Welcome back to Courageous Living. I am here with my guest, Terri Saleh. And before we actually went on break, you said something that was so powerful, so simple, but so powerful. Everybody, anyone can save $5 or $10 every week.
Yeah, out of every paycheck. It's important. I tell all of my girlfriends and close friends it's mandatory. It's a must. You cannot be my friend if you don't have a savings account.
I love it.
You know, so $5 to $10, that's one lunch a week. You know, you can do it, but you have to get in the habit. And if you're one of those high-powered women and you're making a six-figure salary, of course, $5 to $10 is nothing. You need to be saving at least $100, $200 out of your paycheck. But you need to be putting away something every paycheck steadily, leaving it, put it in a credit union account across town where you can't have a debit card tied to it and you can't get to it quickly, because this is money, this is rainy day fun, or this is my dream jump over the cliff fun. So you don't want to touch it. You want to watch it grow. And I have a club called the Comma Club.
Okay, so I was so ready for this segment. So the Comma Club. I know the Comma Club. We've talked about the Comma Club in the past. Every time I talk about the Comma Club to other women, they are so totally in love with it. Please tell us what the Comma Club is.
Well, again, I tell all my friends it's mandatory you have at least one comma in your savings account. That's $1,000. But you'd be surprised how many people don't have at least $1,000.
$1,000.
$1,000. And they make a lot of money. You make $50,000 a year, and you mean to tell me you can't have $1,000 in your savings account?
Wow.
So I'm just asking, at a minimum, have that, because emergencies happen. It's not when they're going to happen. It's not if they're going to happen. It's when they're going to happen.
Yes.
And it's important to be able to have that money to dip into, as opposed to going into more debt.
Absolutely. And so with the Comma Club, I know that you have a Facebook group called the Comma Club, and they'll be able to get that information and get on there and just get support and some tools and those things, because it is important for women to have savings. Now, is there different kinds of savings? Because I know you just talked about rainy day savings, but then we talked about savings that you don't touch. Can you hit on some of those different kinds of savings that we should actually have?
Well, I like to have three types of savings. I like to have the Comma Club savings, and that really is emergency savings. Let's say you have a flat tire, or if you're like me, you drive really fast and you get a speeding ticket.
Oh, we're sisters, so it's terrible.
So, you know, those are things you don't necessarily plan in your budget.
Right.
And, you know, if you're like me, you get a $125 ticket, you don't necessarily want to have to use money that should have gone to a bill. So you use your Comma Club money and you want to replenish it for things, unexpected things like that. So you're not putting it on a credit card and going into debt. And then the second kind is just a short-term savings account. Should you lose your job or get sick, 3 to 6 months of your household spending.
Okay, that's a short-term savings.
That's short-term savings. It's a lot of money.
Okay.
But if you are a single mother, or if you don't have anybody else to rely on, and if you ever lose your job, it's good to have 3 to 6 months of household spending in a savings account. The last is just your long-term, your retirement.
Okay.
We don't get the pension plan anymore. You don't even get a gold watch anymore after 40 years. It's all on us to save for our retirement. And too many women I know end up having to move back in with their kids, or, you know, move with their parents because they don't have a retirement savings. And Social Security is just not going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not. I mean, when we think about getting to that age that you can retire, will you have enough in your account? So so that's 3 savings, different savings accounts, and that has nothing to do with what we pay for our bills and everything like that. So what is kind of like an allocation? Would you keep the Comma Club at $1,000 or more than $1,000? Like, once it gets to that $1,000, would you then put the rest of the money into your short-term savings or long-term savings?
I would put it into my short-term savings until I get to that 3 to 6 month threshold.
Okay.
And then once that is enough, then I start putting it into my retirement savings account. So the principle I use is 80, 10, 10.
Okay.
You live on 80%. You save 10%, and then you put another 10% into your retirement.
Okay.
Okay?
Gotcha.
So if you can max out your 401k at work, put 10% there. 15% is the max, but if you can at least put 10, put another 10% into your comma club short-term savings, and then you live off of 80%.
Okay.
If you can learn to live off of 80%, you're doing better than most Americans, because most Americans live on 110% of their income.
Yes, that's
their income plus credit cards.
Keeping up with the Joneses,
Yes.
all that good stuff.
Yes.
And so where would, you know, if I wanted to like take vacations and need to save for stuff like that?
I would say you could take it out of that 3 to 6 months if you want. Yeah, and I use my refund, my tax refund, as my vacation spending. So I end up getting a refund every year, and I use that as my vacation money.
Gotcha.
Obviously, a lot of people have different ways to go on vacation, but that's what works for me. But other than that, use your 3 to 6 month, but also remember to replenish it.
Okay. All right, so I love that because I think that that really does give us a good idea on how we should be managing our money. If you're spending 80, you're saving 10 in the retirement, and you have 10, saving 10 between your short-term and your comma club account.
Yes.
And comma club is like those quick emergencies that may come up so that you can have that
so that
money.
you don't go into debt. And that's the second thing that
Yes.
hurts so many of us.
Let's talk about it.
We have gotten to a point where our everyday expenses are being put on a credit card, and that's not good.
No, it's not.
If we have to put our groceries on a credit card, then that's a red flag. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
You either need to get a part-time job or you really need to rethink your budget.
Right.
So I tell people you need to save. You need to make sure you have a budget, meaning do you know what it costs to run your household? Sit down and write down everything that you spend in a month time frame.
So everything, like
everything.
You know, we got the hair, we got the nails,
the gym memberships, the kids' allowance, the kids' sports,
Right.
private school tuition, the rent, the mortgage,
Right.
car insurance, utilities, all of that. Sit down and write down, what does it cost to run my household? You'd be surprised how many of us don't really know.
Wow.
Because how do you get your 3 to 6 months household expenses saved up if you don't know what that number
Right,
is?
absolutely, absolutely.
So if it costs $3,000 a month to run my household, I probably should have at least $10,000 saved up in the short-term savings fund. So you want to budget, you want to save, and then the last thing is you want to stay out of debt. Don't use those credit cards, because using a credit card, all you're doing is spending future income.
Right. Oh, wow. Wow.
You're spending future income.
Wow.
Because you have to pay that bill.
No, that's so, I mean, it's so interesting how you really put that, because it really is like
that's
right
what
in
it
your face.
is. But that's what it is. You're spending future income. Every
income.
time you swipe, you're spending future income.
That is so very true. So what if I'm already in credit card debt?
So we have a plan where we basically, again, write down all of the credit cards that we have, and we start with the highest interest rate credit cards first.
Okay.
So those are like the Lowe's, the Home Depot, the Macy's. Usually the store cards charge the highest
So
interest rate.
not the card with the least balance, but the card with
Highest
the
interest
highest
rate.
interest rate.
Yes.
Why?
Because it's like highway robbery. They're charging you 24%, 28% to use that money. Get rid of those. I'd much rather have you owe somebody at 6% interest than to owe somebody at 24% interest. It's highway robbery.
Okay. Yeah.
So get rid of those. So you write down all of your credit cards, starting with the highest interest rate ones first, and you knock those out first. And then you just, every time you pay off a credit card, you celebrate. Now, I'm not saying you go on vacation or you go on a shopping spree.
Right.
But you know, it's hard work, and you do want to have some wins and feel good that you're knocking yourself out of debt. So every time you pay one off, celebrate a little and then attack the next one. But you really have to attack debt and just vow not to continue to use them. Cut up the ones that you have, Keep one major credit card for emergencies. If you have to rent a car, you usually need to have a major credit card. Keep one, but everything else, especially the store credit cards, where they're charging you 24, 28%, get rid of those.
Okay. Well, we've talked about so much, and so we're almost out of time, which I tell you, it just goes by so fast. But give us, first of all, how can we get in contact with you? For anyone who wants to learn about the Comma Club, anyone who wants to take your classes, you're also a realtor, and so I want people to know how to get in contact with you.
I do have a website. You can reach me at www.terrisaleh.com.
Okay.
You can reach me via email, tmsaleh@gmail.com.
Okay.
And or you can catch me on Twitter or Facebook.
Right.
You'll find me. You'll find the Comma Club.
Right. We're gonna make sure they find the Comma Club.
Facebook. So yeah, there's various ways to reach me.
Okay.
And I would love to be able to help women get out of debt and start living their dreams.
Give us one last thought before we go.
It's important to save. It's important to pay yourself first. As soon as you get some money, set a little aside for yourself.
Even if it's $5.
Even if it's $5 or $10. Think about your children.
Right.
The Bible says that a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children's children.
Wow.
So you want to be able to not only leave some for your children, but leave some for your grandkids. So save.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Terri.
Thank
for
you.
Being on
Thanks
the
for the
show.
opportunity.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And thank you all for, watching this show. But don't go anywhere, because right after this, I'm going to wrap up the show for you. Oh my goodness. I know that you enjoyed that show, and so did I. We talked about so many different things in terms of how to manage your debt and how to get out of debt, but more so how to save. Our special guest, Terri Saleh, told us that the main thing you need to do is pay yourself first. Even if it's $5 or $10, it doesn't matter. Put something away for yourself, because that little bit that you put away can save you from big emergencies. And until next time, I want you to stay courageous. And if you have any questions, comments about this show, or you want some more motivation, just visit me on my website at kikiramsey.com. Until next time, get courageous.